Boom, baby, we're live. Welcome to Interview with the Man, episode 639. Why you can't turn a 304, a promiscuous woman, into a housewife. We can't say what we say at the beginning of this video, but stay tuned because we're going to be live on Rumble for the super based version later. But don't forget, right now, I'm joined here with Paul from Apex Mindset. We're going to be dropping some hardcore science on you as to why you can't do this. But in the meantime, don't forget, May 8th, we're going live with the Masculine Empowerment Network. Take a look here.
I am not a man that believes in luck. I am not a man that believes in destiny. I believe in discipline. I believe in being powerful. I believe in being self-reliant. I believe in mentorship. And most importantly, I believe in me. I refuse to be a victim. And I know that every day I make a choice to be better than before, a choice to do what is right for me, a choice to not live as a slave to my emotions. And all of these choices will lead me to the burden that is heavy, and that burden is greatness. We live in the most prosperous times in human history. There is no excuse that outweighs the greatness that is in you that can get you the life that you want. Every day, we must make a choice to improve our lives or to be victims of inaction. The price of greatness is one we must pay every day, and it is a choice that I always make. Although the path we walk can be lonely, it is the most important thing we must do. Sometimes when you choose the life of greatness, you need a little help. The best part of my journey is that I'm not alone, and neither are you.
That's right, May 8th. Get on the waiting list now. I'm telling you guys, you're going to miss out if you don't go right now to masculineempowermentnetwork.com. Put your best email right here. Click here to save your spot. It's completely free. You're not financially committing to anything, but you're going to be getting the email alerts that are exclusive to this list only to see all the benefits you get and so much more. And let me just give you a quick rundown of what you get when you sign up for the Masculine Empowerment Network, okay? You get all of these things right here. First things first, you get my premier course, Body Language Mastery. Guys, if you're confused about dating women, you're confused about body language, and you want to understand clearly if a woman is interested in you or not interested in you, this is the course for you, okay? Number two, 20 webinars are available starting May 15th and 40 more for the rest of the year. That's 60 live webinars on Zoom where you come in and an expert gives a presentation on money, muscles, game, and or frame. And then after their presentation, we open up the panel for discussion. And any question you have, we're going to answer them. If you love inner game healing, you're going to love this, because these webinars are going to go even further and deeper than before. If you cannot attend these webinars, they are recorded, and you get access to that database that includes 200 hours of past webinars as well. Okay. Number 4, you get access to a secured Telegram chat with all the men of the Masculine Empowerment Network, guiding you and helping you all the way until April 1st, 2024. Direct access to me, MLD. And then number 6 is open course access sale, when you'll be able to purchase any course that I've provided in the past for a discounted rate. It's exclusive to the Masculine Empowerment Network and so much more, including retreats, VIP events, and direct access to great guys like me and Paul here from Apex Mindset. So come on down. Paul, you've been with me a long time doing this whole Masculine Empowerment Network thing. What do you think about it so far? Oh, you're muted, brother.
Able to see guys in this group or in this program or whatever you want to call it, but really this community, and just watching their lives improve, and watching their motivation and want showing up to these calls and showing up to these sessions. I mean, and just being so dedicated to making themselves better. And it's both the Masculine Empowerment Network, as well as the inner game healing that we just did. It's both things. You got guys, a lot of guys will do both of them. And when I give a session, usually I might spend, let's say, 1.5 hours, 2 hours doing a block of instruction. And then I end up with 6 hours or more of questions. And it never ceases to amaze me when I'm doing this. I mean, I get ready, I get ready for a marathon, and I love it so much that it's like, I'm just so energized, that we might start our call usually like at 9 o'clock or something in the evening. I pick an evening time, knowing that dudes do work and different things, and knowing that they're going to have a lot of questions for me specifically. And it's like, I'm going to bed at 5 a.m. that day because they're just, and what's interesting is we'll have all these people in the community asking questions and wanting to better their lives. That number doesn't really go down that much. I would always thought like, well, I'll give my presentation and, a couple hours in, like I'll have half the people there than what we started with. That's never the case. Never been the case. They are so glued and determined to do better that they stick around till the last question's answered, and doesn't matter how late it is. They block off that time, you know what I mean, to work on themselves. To have guys that are that dedicated, I mean, it's a motivation for me to be dedicated in my own life. And that's what's cool about a community, right? It's like, even though I'm like the instructor, I'm the person that is giving help to dudes, right? I'm the coach. It motivates me to level my life up, because I have guys in there that I'm coaching who are already some of them are running already at high RPMs and doing really good, like killing it. We got millionaires in the program. We got people who are just have their life dialed in, and they join it to do really well, to take themselves that just little next level. And then we got guys who are just absolutely struggling and totally lost, but they get that benefit of getting to interact with guys who are, at different levels of their development, and they get the support, and they get the tools they need to get what they want in life. And it's just really cool to see, because men are suffering so much that even if we just make a dent with a few hundred guys or whatever it may be every quarter, like that's, we're doing good work that makes us, I don't know. It just makes me want to get up in the morning. We'll put it like that. It puts a fire under me. It makes me excited to live every single day and do what we do.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. And I think why I get excited too, and why I'm so happy you're part of the Masculine Empowerment Network, giving, multiple presentations again at the webinars, is because we're kind of at this step in this cultural revolution right now where the problem is very evident. So going around and announcing, oh, you know, these women are all hoes, these relationships are hard, this shit sucks, right?
Yeah.
We're past that place now.
We're way
You
past
can only be in that place of anger and rage and pseudo action, right? For so long. Eventually, you're going to have to realize the only thing you can change is yourself. And the only way you can change yourself is by taking action on these principles, money, muscles, game, frame. And if you don't, then your suffering is inevitable. That's what these guys they don't seem to understand. If you don't change, your suffering, your pain, the emotional days where you just feel like garbage, these are going to continue and they're going to get worse.
Yep.
And action is the only way to get out of this. And that's why we have the Masculine Empowerment Network for the men. Keyword there, men who want to sit down, educate themselves, and get out of this life rut that they're in. Because the boys, the man children, the ones sitting around collecting government welfare or living off a disability or, you know, just taking the easy way in life and slowly getting fat, slowly using drugs, slowly boozing, all that shit, that's man-child bullshit. You have to snap out of it. Paul and I are no different. Paul and I are in the top 1%, and Paul and I both came from poverty, broken homes, abuse, everything. So if we can do it, you can do it, and we're giving you all the tools and all the opportunities at the Masculine Empowerment Network. So if you're not on the waiting list and you're not paying attention, pay attention today. Close all the other browsers. Stop fucking around. If you're halfway listening to us, listen to what we're going to talk about, because this is a huge epidemic we're having right now. And it's the epidemic of shitty women in the United States and in the West.
Yes.
Right.
Definitely an epidemic. An epidemic of guys taking them on as their little projects and in their relationships and settling for that, because it's like there's so many women that are like that. It's just so normalized, you know, in certain parts of the world. It's so they just think like, you know, a woman is just disrespectful and ungrateful is normal to a lot of these guys. You know what I mean? And we need to stop normalizing bad behavior for sure.
Stop even, you know, rewarding it, not even giving it our attention. But some of you guys here are saying also, Akash is saying weird, wasn't notified to start. Guys, we have told you right now, there's only 106 people. I have looked at the analytics on my channel, and I'm back to being shadow banned once again. The only way for you to get guaranteed notifications is you have to make sure you're not subscribed to like 1 million YouTube channels. So go unsubscribe from all that crap and then click the Telegram alerts. The Telegram alerts right here are in the chat. Okay. Billy is posting it right there. Click on that link. There's 383 people on the Telegram alerts channel now. This is a way you can bypass big tech censorship, because that's where we are at this point in the cultural war.
I'm writing this down so I can start getting on Telegram alerts for my own channel. I'm like, hey, that's a really good idea, because I had the same problem. Obviously, I've had that problem for a while.
You know, when you get on the Telegram alerts channel, first of all, it's for free. Make sure you don't have a bunch of notifications and everything screwing you up on Telegram. And then what you need to do is you need to fucking give me 1 second. My OBS just crashed on me. You can still hear me though, right?
Oh yeah.
There we go. Yeah, get on these Telegram alerts, guys. Get on these Telegram alerts. Go ahead, click on it, turn off all the notifications you have on your phone, and make sure that you're signing up for these Telegram alerts. It is literally in the chat right now. One person has clicked on that link. Okay. I wanted to address something real quick too. This guy says, question, with the recent Nampa culture, would you say as Japan becomes slowly westernized? Dude, Nampa is not old, dude. You don't know anything about Japanese culture. Actually, if you want to go real deep, Nampa back in the day this has been around since like samurai times. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of dark, but the most gangster of the gangster Nampa guys back in the day, they went and Nampa guys. Like, it was a status symbol to bang dudes back in the day. So Nampa culture is not recent. You're a weeaboo who has no idea about Japanese culture. So please educate yourself before you try to come here and talk like you know something, because you clearly don't. Nampa's been around for a while, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So we're going to talk about today why you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. Paul, you see this often with military guys with their need to
Yeah.
save these hoes.
They ranger their relationships. We call it. They go all in, high speed because she's pretty. They met Amy at the bar, and she's a bartender with a nice body, and he waited for her after work, and then they hook up, and then he's going to put babies in her, and he's going to marry her, and she's going to get married because then she gets health care and benefits, and she's no one told him that Amy is a broken woman, and that he can't put effort, like his drive and effort that makes him successful as a soldier, as a combat veteran, let's say, that drive that allowed him to survive, that's not going to get him to have a successful relationship. You can't effort your way out of mental health problems. You can't effort your way out of attachment disorders. You can't effort your way out of poor habits and mental frameworks when it comes to having healthy relationships. You can't effort your way out of it. You can game certain things if she's willing to accept your authority and your position, because she sees you as, the guy she really wants to be with. But there's still a lot of accountability on her end of it to be willing and capable of doing that. Right. So women are just being conditioned nowadays to not trust men at all, because masculinity is bad and demonized. Right. So if you have a penis, she can't trust you. And so she comes into the relationship with distrust, being that, biologically, and when you look at evolutionary psychology, women are the weaker of the sexes, both physically and when it comes to procuring resources. It doesn't matter that a lot of women are capable today of getting the education and making money and all that stuff, and they do it. It's their biological wiring, right? So their biological wiring puts them in a place where they need to trust a man, or men at least, in order to get their needs met. But since they don't, what ends up happening is they have to jump into their own masculine frame in order to have control and have power in the relationships. And what they do to have that power is they withdraw the things that make them valuable in a relationship. They use, for example, sex as a tool to get a guy to do stuff, or to not, to manipulate a guy to do other things by withholding. For example, they use emotional manipulation rather than being emotionally supportive and pleasant, which brings her value up. And, those feminine qualities of making other people just feel welcome and good and all that stuff, they withdraw those things because that is a way of trying to control their relationships. They use things like toxic argument patterns and disrespect, and things like that are designed to break a dude down so that she can feel like she has power. And of course she's going to do those things if her whole mental framework is that men can't be trusted. She thinks she needs to train this man in order to be her little, non-toxic, little pet that's a good man or whatever. And the reality is, if she's capable or even able to do that, her attraction will go into the toilet, and she'll be unhappy and won't understand why. So women are just destroying themselves with this societal framework, and guys are allowing it to happen by not holding frame and putting up with it, and not learning how to game around it and also select better. It's both things. If a girl hasn't seen a better way, she might not show up right being the perfect partner, but she does have instinctual drives, and those instinctual drives point her to wanting to follow male leadership and wanting to surrender, submit to a man, and be a feminine woman, and be, a person that offers value rather than just taking it. Women have instinctual drives to do that too. So despite all the social conditioning, so a guy with good game can bring those out in a woman. And if she's not too damaged, sure, she can be a part of that, but she has to show that with her behavior. If she's off the deep end and she's, in this mental paradigm and too damaged mentally, and, psychologically and emotionally, all that game isn't going to work. And so you have to know how to select someone who's capable. They don't necessarily have to have all the traits today of being the perfect woman. You probably won't find that out there, but what you will find is somebody who's capable, who has potential, and then you can lead that relationship and develop and grow together as a couple, putting her in a better direction and a better path. But that's a process, and guys need to learn how to, pick the right person and also take their time, right? Not like let yourself be in the dating market for a little while. Let it be a process. Let her demonstrate that capability, not just love bomb you for the first month or two and it feels good. Amy from the bar feels really good right now. And so I think I'm just going to wife her up because she seems so perfect. It's like, you guys haven't even had a conflict yet. You haven't told her no yet. So so these are the things. And unfortunately, we're tying it to, the promiscuity and some of the behaviors the wretched behaviors that a lot of women do. Those things render her just without the skills, without the capabilities. And that's the thing. You can't take someone who's not willing to develop the skills, who doesn't have it, who won't see it. You can't take that person and make them, be a good partner.
Let's talk about that real quick. Shout out to Dr. B, the 0% man, who is now a member of the channel here for 25 months. Appreciate you, bro. I call him the 0% man because we typed in like all his statistics, African-American, not married, height.
Right.
He's I believe he's a doctor. I don't want to say he's an anesthesiologist. I think he's like something to do with, I think he's a pediatrician. Dr. B, sorry, I forgot. But we put his information in. It's like 0.0000% of all black men are like this in America. So super rare. The 0% man himself. And then $1 Million Madness, $4.99 super chat. A wise man once said, if she catch me cheating, I'll never tell her sorry. Future MLD truly changed lives. Guys, listen and take action from the wisdom. So let's talk about that, right? So guys, by the way, smash the like button. This is the one way we can bypass the shadow ban. If you guys smash the like button, this is the only important metric here that YouTube has, which is getting those likes up. We have 100 something in the house. We're also live on Rumble. Shout out to the boys on Rumble. We're going to be doing an exclusive stream. We have 23 people watching on Rumble, so we got a good little audience here. Let's talk about this, right? So okay, Paul. So clearly these girls are getting it in. These girls are getting ran through.
Yes.
These girls are getting ran through en masse. And this is happening at a crazy level never before seen. Like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, women were hoes like this back in the day." No, they weren't. No, they
absolutely
weren't.
not.
And anybody who says that is uneducated moron. Okay,
right? Yeah.
How does like the frequency? Because we both dated women with high body counts, and the self-destruction was just like evident, and it's heartbreaking to see that the self-destruction come through. And I really believe that a woman with a high body count, like anything over 20 is like you're really, really, really pushing it to like have a stable, loving relationship. I feel like this is like almost like a fucking like a mark of leprosy. Like it's just like this person's doomed.
I got some important things on that, and this is what guys who are listening here, this is what I've watched John grow to, which I'm super happy about. This is what I'm growing into also. We're elevating ourselves past manosphere dumb shit. Okay. Like we're having educated, higher level discussions that are actionable, that are going to help you, because some of the stuff that's out there is not very helpful. We're going to have an honest conversation about promiscuity, body count, some of those things and how it affects things. We've done this before on the channel, but I do want to make this statement. First of all, here's what we don't know. Okay. Now, as I say this does not give you guys permission to go try to wife up, the girl with all the red flags and bad behaviors. All right. A lot of guys are waiting to have the justification for making dumb decisions all the time because that it feels good at the time. Right. So don't use what I'm about to say to justify stupid decisions in your life. That said, we don't know where the number cutoff is. We know there's a correlation between, relationship dissatisfaction. I'm going to break all this stuff down, but relationship dissatisfaction in general and body count. There's a correlation between anxiety, depression, mental ailments and disorders. And in one of the studies I'll show you, it shows it after the promiscuity, not before. So that was a question for a while was, well, maybe they had these mental disorders to begin with. And then the sexual promiscuity was, to try to cope with those things. Well, in this one particular study and a couple of them that they've looked at, they've measured before and after stuff. And then, they were, and it's, asking questions, but, it's through a lot of survey and data collecting. But what they're finding is a correlation between body count and poor mental health markers. So
wait a minute. I gotta stop. So I gotta stop the show here for a second. So you're telling me, because I already knew this instinctively, okay?
Of course.
But you're telling me that a woman getting ran through causes her to develop mental health problems.
Yes. That's what's correlated there. For
sure.
sure.
I'm 37, so call me old school, but I just trust my gut was like, oh, this bitch been ran through, like, oh, God, like the attraction just plummets. It really, really does.
Yeah, no. Now I'm gonna say though on this, like, so we know that there's, and I'm going to go through all that data. We know that there are poor markers for happiness and satisfaction in long-term relationships later with promiscuous behavior when they're early on, right? There's higher correlations of mental health problems, higher correlation of attachment problems, higher correlation of infidelity, cheating, right? Higher correlation of divorce, higher correlation of breakups, and just all around not being happy and being all around a shitty person to be with. Higher correlation. Okay. So like these people who get on there and want to act like this isn't, that's not true. And I don't understand how they can do those mental gymnastics. I'm going to share a study from 2023. So it's not like I'm looking at ancient data here. This stuff demonstrates this, and they're not even correcting, because you got to remember there's a disconnect between your average scientist, usually male, who's probably pretty blue pilled and not, like, no offense to Jordan Peterson, because he has some good things to say, but like a Jordan Peterson type where he married his sweetheart, you know what I mean? They're really disconnected a lot of times because they're older, different generation, and very educated, but they're disconnected for what is going on with 21, 22, 23-year-old girls right now. They don't understand, like, when they stop the study at, 10 bodies or something, like, they're not even scratching the surface for a lot of these young girls now. And there's been some other data to show that, that I've made the statement, or from other things I've seen and through just experience with, they don't want to do this study that well. When you adjust your data pool for women who are sexually marketable in the marketplace, that means you take out women with like disabilities or serious like mental things where they can't take care of themselves, stuff that would make them unmateable for the most part, right? You take that out of the pool and you look at women who are in a pool of mateable, like meaning they are out dating. They're going to try to get a guy someday, right? That's your pool. When you make that adjustment nowadays, a girl by the time she is 30 years old has gone through between 20 and 50 people. Most likely, there's a few exceptions to that, but if I have to be a betting man,
can we say that number again to make
probably between 20 to 50 people, probably by about 30. It's not that hard to figure out though. Let's just look at the day in the life. Average girl has sex for the first time at 15. You know what I mean? And so then she gets her heart broken, or it's a bad experience, whatever happens. She probably hooks up a couple more times before high school's over with. That's, at least 3 bodies by the time she's done with high school, maybe 4. She goes to college. She hasn't even hit a hoe phase yet. She goes to college, hits her party years. I mean, a girl has a series of one night stands, cheats on boyfriend. In a couple of years, she can easily go through 10 bodies. Let's take, if she starts having sex at 15, and keep this in mind that girls now generally, and not all women, of course, but most women don't take a break. Like their idea of a dry spell is like maybe a couple months. Like they're not like some dudes who are like, man, like I haven't been able to get chicks to want to talk to me for the last 6 months. Like they don't know what that's like. They don't know what that's like when they want to feel like a mateable human, valuable human being. They just go out and get laid. Like it's not hard for them, and there's no more shame in it.
Let's keep it a stack. They get out and get fucked.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Right. Of course. And so let's look at that. Even if they're being modest, what's 15, divided by 20 bodies? 1 a year. That's not very much when you think about it. She started at 15 and then she's 30. 1 body a year already puts her at 15. We know she's done more than that. So it really, just by simple deduction and mathematics, it puts her between 20 and 50 for most girls. And this is unprecedented. Like we have a global sexual marketplace. Prior to the global sexual marketplace, what marks that is internet and internet dating and social media. So like a girl who was born after 1990 knows her entire dating and adult life has involved the internet and now she has global access to what's out there for her to have sex with. Right. And so she has the global access. Prior to that, you didn't have global access. So a girl could be like born in small town Iowa. She had 5 eligible bachelors. She picked the one with all the teeth and, pretty good genetics and came from a good family. She settles in with that. She's married by the time she's 18, 19, right? She's in the 19, let's say 50s or something, right? She's putting kids out there and having a family early because her hypergamous brain isn't seeing a world of options. People on the television screen or celebrities are unattainable. They're not real, right? People in the radio program before television wasn't like something that she could even judge or consider an option for her. So like most women across the United States, across the world, had very few options. You could count them on 1 to 2 hands. And the selection wasn't that hard to make a selection. And so everything was geared towards relationship success and families. Plus the economy back then was labor-based, meaning keeping a one parent working as long as we can keep that parent working was beneficial to the economy. Well, with the internet, we changed over and switched to more of a consumer-based economy. I mean, never before in history did we have a pandemic that kept everyone home and everyone ordered all of their crap online, right? It's a consumer-based, and then that drove the economy. So it's a consumer-based economy now. Well, what does that mean? It's more economically beneficial for you to be unhappy in your relationships. The more divorces, the more kids out of wedlock, the more problems you're having. How much more crap are you going to, buy off Amazon Prime when you're on your 3rd divorce and you got kids with a couple different women, right? And so this is where it's more economically beneficial now to not keep a family intact, even though your own happiness and well-being involves long-term relationship success. And that's really the wiring that we have. And so
let me ask you this. Okay. And I want to could we pull up one of those studies? Let's pull up the study. If you could pull it up on your end, share it. But let's talk about first the mental problems that develop after a woman gets ran through, because this is a real problem. Because another thing is this too, these chicks are lying. These chicks are lying out their fucking ass when it comes to their body counts, about everything, really. I mean, I dated a girl who fucking lied to me for an entire year about her sexual history and everything. But the thing is, if you're smart and you're vigilant, right? When you are in a relationship with a chick, the lies eventually begin to unfold if you're looking for them. If you're a clueless idiot, then you're a clueless idiot and you're just going to be a victim. Like I said, you have to be smart. You have to know money muscles game frame in today's modern world. But if you are not sharp, you're going to get tricked. You're going to get deceived. And these chicks do it all the time, guys. It is not a rosy world, especially if you're out there in America. Forget about it, bro. It is like, dude, like statistically speaking, you're most likely going to meet a girl that's a hoe. Like every time you go out and do it. There's like,
for sure,
the probability is there. Another thing is this, guys, we got 154 people. We only have 96 likes. Dude, I need those likes up to 150 like right now. Like it's free. Smash the like button. Shout out to the boys on Rumble Boys. We got 38 of you over there. Smash like on that show as well. It's literally free. Like we need this to keep the show going. Otherwise, this shadow ban is just going to mess with us. Get those likes up to 150. Paul's got a study here on the screen.
Yep.
And
so,
here we go.
All right. Now, before I go through this, I do want to state, something here that's really, really important because, again, we're elevating the discussion. We got to have compassion for women who are even who have these problems. That doesn't mean that you have to take them on as your, somebody you're going to like be in a relationship with now and try to fix her. But all this stuff where we're just like, slamming, like I've had, I'll put it like this. I've had more than one consult where a woman comes to me with all of these manosphere truths and is like, what do I do? Like I screwed my life up. I had a body count over 30. I have a body count over 50 or whatever it may be. And do I lie to my partner? Like what? I don't understand what to do. Or I'm a single mom. Like, what do I do? Right. And it's like, that's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to be across the screen going, well, that sucks. But here's the other thing of it too. What matters about this stuff, we're not sitting here just trying to shame women for mistakes. All right. We're first of all trying to have a discussion that doesn't excuse bad behavior because we don't want women who are right now, all your daughters out there, for a lot of you guys who are going to be teenagers soon. For example, I have a lot of friends who have soon to be teenage daughters. We want to make sure that they're, being taught differently than what women were being taught between 1990 and recent, that were young teenagers, that this narrative, and this is where this, by the way, that the motivation for the study was the narrative that sexual experience is a good thing. It's going to enhance your relationships, particularly that narrative being put on the girls and being promoted by feminism. That is a dangerous lie that messes girls up and makes them, lower value. And gives the perception of dudes, even if she's worked on herself and overcame trauma and problems, she still has this in her record. She still has stuff where, now how is she supposed to, you know what I mean? Like make it work for a guy, right? Like if the guy's immediate thought, if she's been through 50 dudes, right, is yeah, like I don't want any part of that. Too big of a red flag, right? It's always been that way. This isn't new. Like there was never a time in history where men were like, you know what? I want a girl who's railed at least 100 guys before I take her on to be my wife. That sentence never happened in their past history. This is the part of the selection process for men that is ingrained and wired in our genetics. And what you had was a period of time of about 20 years, maybe 30, where this idiot narrative was being promoted that somehow, we're supposed to accept that and embrace that stuff. It goes against every ounce of our instincts. And guys who do try to accept it, if they're not doing it in a way where they would, let's say, work with a guy like me or John or do inner game healing or something to try to like get their mind right with handling their girl, like they're not going to do it in a way that is healthy because their instincts are going to tell them to stop trying in the relationship, for example, stop, to degrade her, for example, because of her past behavior, to look at her like she's less valuable, even if she's done a lot of work. So let's take a girl who's had a bunch of bodies and had some problems. Let's say she's done all the work in the world to make herself better. The guy's going to have that instinct now to still want to discard her. And he's going to have to overcome that problem now. It's really shitty. You know what I mean? And so,
and if he doesn't,
I don't want you guys to get to think we're shaming women here. We're not. We're trying to help.
If he doesn't overcome it too, he loses half of all his assets.
Right. Yes. Very true. And that's but and that's the thing. So like, understand how, just real quick, how to vet this stuff out. And I'll touch on it more after this. We go to the study. You're looking at current behavior now over time, right? So not the first month where she's on good behavior, but for LTR vetting, current behavior, like how she is today and how she shows up in your relationship over the next year, year and a half to 2 years. And you're looking at it as a measure, and you're measuring that against past experiences and other things, right? This is why you take your time. Spinning plates, that whole idea, dating multiple women, that's not just so you guys, get your dick wet and have a bunch of hoes around. Like, no, that's not why. You're doing that because you're vetting out who's a good partner for you, who's a good match. And if you find yourself with someone, which you may find yourself, most of you guys will actually, unfortunately, because that's what ends up happening. It just is. You're going to find yourself with somebody who has 20, 25 bodies, let's just say, which by standards in the past would be considered a
blacklist,
a sexual disorder. Okay, just FYI. Normal body counts today would be considered a sexual disorder, like in the 80s and 70s. You know what I mean? And so, like, if that's what you're dealing with, you have to take your time with that woman, and that's the consequences she has to face. Is she doesn't get that commitment right away. She has to demonstrate she's a good woman, and she has to show up and bring that value to your life and show that she's been able to be different than how she was in the past, and that she's able to be a healthy partner, because you really don't know, but you sure as hell have a lot of evidence that she might not be. And for the women that do watch this, because I know there's actually quite a few, now, especially now that your numbers have gone up, I know a lot of women are watching this stuff. Don't give up on yourselves. Okay. If you have a messed up past or whatever, I have compassion for you. I really do. Don't give up. And part of giving up would be trying to cap, trying to pretend like you are fine and that this isn't a problem. All that stuff is bullshit. Recognize the mistakes for what they are. Just make yourselves better and start building better habits now, because a girl who can build better habits, have relationship awareness, and overcome the trauma that she created for herself could potentially have success. If she looks good, has a great sexual relationship with a dude, and compliments his life and makes him feel good every day, he isn't going to care about her body count.
Right.
The problem is, though, the girls with a high body count tend to not do any of those things over time.
Right.
That's the problem. It's not.
Let's talk about that real quick, because it's just so, okay. What causes them to, like, obviously go back to where they would come from? She belongs to the streets. Why did they keep, why don't they realize, yeah, my past was a mistake. I need to just stay in this relationship and figure it out. Why can't they just get their shit together?
Right. Some women do. They're not. They're statistical anomalies that do it, though. But there are some women that do. So I do want to give that as a caveat. And I've seen it, and I've even helped some of them. However, most don't. What?
The majority
do not.
Right?
And the reason why
I don't want to give these guys false hope at home, because these motherfuckers they'll make any excuse.
That's why I hate that.
It's
why it sucks. And a lot of women are wondering, why are guys so they don't say the other side. They don't give the exceptions. We don't do that a lot because guys are dumb a lot. Okay. If I have a group of infantrymen and I'm giving them a brief on how not to screw your life up with women, which, by the way, I do those briefs, if I give them any ounce, like any little bit of room to go fuck their life up, they're like, oh, I'm going for it. It's incredible how guys will just go towards the fire and put their hand in it. Like, it's like,
Dude.
don't touch the hot stove. Like,
Listen, I just posted this video of Britney Spears drugged out of her mind at 41 years old, dancing and twerking all over the. Actually, you know what? Let me just fucking share this shit. Okay, this bitch is clearly on drugs. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
clearly,
for sure.
Clearly on drugs, actually. And then let me just show you something. This is why I'm just saying, for the love of God, please be careful. Okay. Here's Britney Spears. I'm gonna mute it, but this is her in her home.
Yeah.
Doing this, obviously. And there's this guy in the fucking chat, in the comments here.
I read it earlier.
David Hughes. She looks good for a 41-year-old girl. Not good enough to be
one dude.
And I just said that on my reply. I saw it this morning and I said, bruh, right here.
Bro.
Always one simp. Always. You know?
Always. She looks good. Would, like, bro, dude, like, come on, right?
Stop.
And this is so that's thing number one, why they don't fix themselves, because they have an illusion that because guys give them attention and women say it's okay, girl. Because see, women are designed to be socially supportive, which is a great thing, but sometimes that can be a detriment. They're not saying like, hey, like maybe you should like start to do something different, or else you're going to be miserable. Like, they don't call each other out about this stuff like they should a lot of times, not because it's not shameful really anymore, right? There's been a push of like, don't shame this stuff. Look, it's not about shaming women for being women or having attraction. It's about calling out the truth of what it is. This is harmful for long-term relationships. If you want to rail through 100 guys, have at it, but then don't try to get wifed up later, because you're probably not going to be good at it, right? Like, you're going to be a detriment to yourself and somebody else. And so, but women don't call it out. Men don't. For every guy that says, I'm not cool with that or whatever, there's a whole list of guys who will simp for that girl, to include guys with value. Just because a guy has high value, that doesn't mean he's, we'll say red pilled, right? With the stuff. That guy who makes good money, if she's hot enough and young enough, he will try to save her. How many celebrities have we seen trying to save a hoe, right? And so, and what happens? That always ends up just destroying themselves and blowing up in their face every single time. And so, like, you can't, out status and out wealth and out success their mental problems either, any more than you can out game it. And usually these guys don't have game. They think they don't need it because they have access to women that will go with them for their resources. And they find out painfully so that that's a big mistake, because their lack of game and their lack of awareness of women causes them to lose huge. And let's set the dudes aside for a second. The women themselves are just unhappy perpetually. Yeah. They're perpetually unsatisfied and they can't figure out why or find that satisfaction, like find out why.
But they always, and in addition to adding to that unhappiness, they always think that just a new dick or another guy is the answer. This current guy that I'm with, he has, I don't know, he has anger problems. He has this problem. He has this, he has that. They are the most imperfect people looking and demanding the perfect thing for themselves.
Shut up and take my money.
Oh, 100%. Well, because that way they don't have to take any personal responsibility. Like, one of the biggest manipulation strategies for women who have these damaged past and execute, the bad behaviors and toxic behaviors in their current relationships is they do things that are out of pocket, and they do things that are going to elicit a reaction from any guy that gives a crap and has self-respect. And then when that guy reacts to their bad behavior, then they criticize his reaction.
Yes.
Well, you're just getting mad at me.
Dude, Me and Justin were talking about that the other day privately. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, why are you getting angry at me? Like, bitch, I'm reacting to your
Do your
treachery.
shit. Right. Yeah. You know, and no matter how, and I've gotten my skills to a point, and I've gotten other guys their skills to a point where they don't react in toxic ways, even though it would be totally reasonable to react in a way that someone might consider toxic.
Yeah.
They get so dialed in that they don't, right? They got their control and they got their frame like impeccable. And of course, the girl will still go, "You're being mean to me. You're being abusive. You know what I mean?" They still try to gaslight the situation and pretend like they didn't, like their behavior wasn't the cause of that reaction.
Okay.
And it's just mind
blowing.
Yeah, right.
I said mind blowing. You said mind numbing. It is. And I've dealt with that. I've dealt that with over here with Chinese girls. I've dealt that with Korean girls, with Japanese girls, with American girls. The world is at fault. And I am but the perfect person.
Right.
Blessing this world with my perfection. These flawed individuals who always fall beneath my standards. You know? And it's just who the fuck do you think you are, you pretentious cunt? It is it's mind-blowing. Listen, but we've had this study up on the screen. I want to start hammering through this stuff. Shout out to Lice Buhid with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you so much, beautiful. Love you with all my heart. Let's go ahead, scroll through and talk about this first one because we have a bunch. Yeah.
So am I able to do it?
Yeah, you're the one that's sharing right now. You have to click on the PDF one. The myth.
Oh, the actual like that. So did I just do it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so this is a recent study, 2023. All right, so this is, done by university, all that stuff. They put a lot of data together. And we're just going to go through some of the bullet points of this write-up on the study. We'll go through the executive summary. So several recent studies challenge the widely held belief that sexual experience during the dating years benefits future marriage. Now, a lot of you guys are sitting here thinking, who in the hell is saying that? Because if you've been paying attention to my content, John's content, and anything in sort of red pill manosphere space, it's been pretty well known, right, that sexual experience on the girl side, at least, is a detriment to her, to her success later on. That's been said for a while, but you got to understand that this is just a corner of the world. In most circles and places where they're westernized, the feminist narrative of, gaining sexual experience, right? And having, believe that young people need to experiment sexually so that they're ready to settle down and get married. That is a feminist idea that got promoted, and it got promoted to optimize female hypergamy, right? Yeah. And so, the problem with the global sexual marketplace is there's a never end to that hypergamy drive if you want to continue to look for the greener grass on the other side of a fence. Yeah. If you have Instagram nowadays, and this is true for guys too, but guys aren't hypergamous. That's an instinct. That's a whole different thing. But there's always a grass being greener somewhere else, right? Yep. And women are more driven to move towards that and to discard current relationships due to hypergamy instinct. That doesn't mean they're slaves to it. There's other instincts in play. However, if they're being taught early on to sexually experiment, right, and to gain this experience, what they're doing is practicing that behavior of discarding, moving to another relationship, and doing that sexually, which limits their ability to bond neurochemically with sex, right? And so they're finding that maybe this is a bad idea, right? It's according to the study and looking at multiple data points, that sexual experience is actually correlated with, like adverse effects for marriages later on. So let's look at the next bullet. Sexually inexperienced couples go on to have the strongest marriages. All right. Now we're going to look through this through a little bit of a red pill kind of lens of understanding game here. We know that guys do need to be able to lead sexually, have that confidence and all that stuff. But that being, so that's an element, and it might take some experience for that. But that being said, girl with less body count has stronger marriages. That's what it is. There's multiple studies that just show that. There's multiple data that correlates that. All right. Go on to the next bullet point here. Having multiple sex partners before marriage has a particularly strong association with lower marital stability and higher rates of results, and so
rates of divorce.
Was that?
Yeah. You said higher rates of results, higher rates of
divorce. Higher rates of divorce. I'm sorry. Yes.
You're good. You're good.
Yeah. Next bullet, today's, and you guys can find the study. It's on the internet. You can look at the actual details of it. All right. But today's sexual dating culture is putting nearly half the population at significant risk for instability in their future marriages. They're recognizing that promiscuity and this idea is on a rise here, and it's putting people in danger. Okay. That's something that they weren't. This is really good data now that they just came out this year. They weren't willing to say a lot of this stuff because you got to remember academia is very skewed to leftist political ideology, wokeism, and feminism. And so that sort of narrative says, well, we can't have any female accountability whatsoever. Right. And so researchers wouldn't touch this because they would lose their jobs, potentially lose funding. Right. But now at least, which is a good thing, we're starting to recognize these facts. They're becoming more common conversations, and so they're able to actually do some more research on it, which is
the
nice.
Truth is, I think I was mentioning this earlier, even with the recent deplatforming of Tucker Carlson, right? We have kind of gotten to the point in the culture war that the only way they're going to keep this clown world going, which is causing everybody to just be suffering and miserable, is now censorship. But the thing is that even this, as they try to censor this data, because the American Psychological Association doesn't have people's fucking best interests at the front of their research. They care about money and getting people on prescription drugs. That's the backbone of the system. Keeping them in bullshit talk therapy, which 95% of the time doesn't fucking work, and then drug them up. That's the state. That's any problem you have. Just so you guys know, I have my bachelor's in science and psychology. Paul, do you have your bachelor's of science? What do you have?
Yeah. Psychology. I've got some grad school. I did not, I chose to go a performance psychology route. So I didn't get a doctorate in clinical, but I'm a EMDR therapist. Got hypnotherapy certified, and, I'm taking continuing education stuff and neurology and neurobiology.
The point I'm trying to make is that what they're doing when you have any kind of problem, and according to the American Psychological Association, they say 12 weeks of drugs and therapy. Like when in doubt, 12 weeks of drugs and therapy. Literally, that's what they say. You're depressed.
And that's why I got out of a clinical program and went sort of left field of psychology. It wasn't something I wanted to be a part of, because if you have a license, you're kind of beholden to that model,
right? And that's their backbone of their business model. And that's why they're trying to shove, not so flattering data under the rug, because this whole thing, the hoe phase too, this is an exclusive American only cancer. Girls in Asia don't like, oh, I'm just going through my hoe phase, just fucking getting ran through. Girls in India are not going through these hoe phases and publicly talking about it. China, all these traditionally conservative nations that have been around for literally thousands of years, they're not fucking dealing with this shit. This is an exclusive American cancer perpetuated by the media, which is controlled by these conglomerates that don't give a fuck about anything other than divide, conquer, and then financially enslave people. And the women are taking the brunt of it. They have the majority of the mental diseases. They're now binge drinking more than men. They have the majority of the fucking student debt. They have the majority of these fucking useless degrees, which you're like, oh, I'm educated. No, you're fucking indoctrinated. And you're in financial debt for your indoctrination that is literally making you a perpetual, for lack of better words, miserable slut. And literally fat, miserable slut, statistically speaking, because 6% of the American population is overweight and or obese. So
Right.
here we are. You know?
Yeah, yeah. And so now the next one, so this is an interesting couple points here is so spouses who have only had sex with their current spouse has the highest levels of sexual satisfaction and emotional connection in their marriages. So to go down to the bottom statistic here to summarize some of it, nearly 80% of married individuals who are sexually inexperienced before marriage report the highest level of emotional closeness in their marriage, which is more than 20% higher than individuals who have had multiple partners. It comes back to the idea of pair bonding. And what's really funny about that is because it's like sometimes manosphere talk is pseudoscience, right?
Yes.
They hear an idea and they don't there's been people that I actually like and respect who have argued against pair bonding because they don't understand what pair bonding is. Pair bonding was just the word. Okay, because then they're like, they put their own definition on it. Well, pair bonding means bonding for life and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what it actually means in the scientific literature. What pair bonding means is that you have a neurochemical reaction that makes you want to seek out the sexual needs and satisfaction and emotional comfort from that single source. So that particular girl or that girl in a particular guy, right? It's not to say that it'll be her only boyfriend ever, right? And that he wanders the earth like a lost penguin. Like, that's not what that means. I don't know where that was, like a myth that went around for a while. The word pair bonding is really not the greatest, word to use for it, but it's the one that they decided on or whatever. It refers to associating that mate with the person that will give you all of those neurochemical rewards, right? For sex and for mating versus associating any girl or any guy or whatever, and for guys, it's more of an emotional association because we're wired to spread seed. We can have sex with less emotion involved, but for women, it's definitely emotional and sexual. And so when a woman has sex with somebody, she's designed to have an oxytocin rush that makes her feel emotionally close to their partner. If she's run through a few bodies, if this guy that she wants to marry is the 30th guy she's slept with, that bonding mechanism is now blunted.
Right.
Now, are there things that can be done about that? I think there are. I don't know. They need to do more research. I think there are things that can be done within the relationship.
For example, for all the Captain Sabahos out there, let's hear it.
No, I don't know. I want to. All right. So here's in the well, you know what? I do need to say because the likelihood of guys meeting a virgin is pretty low. So let's talk about that. I think that the sexual imprinting is what will make somebody be so emotionally bought in and frame. So when you go through my frame model and we talk about idealized isolation, which means isolating this partner as your main partner and then pushing out the influences that would make you want to pull away from the relationship. So idealized isolation.
Single hoe friends?
Yeah, right. Friends, 100%. Like friends that are just, acting single and going out and being single hoes and wanting your girlfriend to go do that with her, go to the club, do this stuff and tell her, well, you don't need him, and giving her bad advice. She pushes those people out, right? She takes those influences and says, wait a second, I want to protect my relationship. So I'm going to isolate myself from these influences. That includes family, that includes friends, anybody. When I say isolate, I mean on a mental and emotional level, right? That doesn't mean she never sees her mother again if her mom's like a little bit off, right? She just doesn't take that opinion seriously and limits discussions, interactions. And she's in the frame of the relationship and the guy. So now she's removed all of these, flashy objects that says, go find something out of your relationship, right? Which then makes her have that association more intense for her current partner. And then with that, the intensity of the sexual experience. So when a guy can create a good, intense sexual experiences for her on a, physical and psychological level, then my belief is they need to obviously research this, but it seems evident to me that that would reignite those bonding mechanisms. You know what I mean? Because basically this guy just out chads or amogs all of her previous experiences, right? And so she stops looking to her past. It's almost like, you know, she sees this guy as the dude. And that's the way out of it, really, is frame and having her, you know, have that intense emotion directed towards the relationship versus directed outward and everywhere else. And then by creating intense sexual experiences and also intense emotional experiences as well on top of it, you know, that re-imprints her sexually. We know, and the reason why I think that works is because of neurology. We know that we can change through neuroplasticity our brains. And so right now her brain is sort of compromised neurologically, just like a drug addict would be compromised or an alcoholic would be compromised in their pleasure pain centers. Well, you can overcome that and go back to experiencing, you know, good, healthy feelings. But here's the thing, that takes a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of accountability. And it's up to her, by and large, to take the responsibility of that and not the dude. Right? Because like the guy, it's up to the guy, of course, to increase the sexual skill and increase the frame skills. That's why we teach this stuff. That's why do the Masculine Empowerment Network, learn better, you know, psychological skills to create more intense experiences for her that are good. That's why you go to the Masculine Empowerment Network. That's why you do my frame mastermind program, right? Like you do that to increase your abilities. But if the girl is unwilling to participate and not
That's
capable, you're not going to fix her, right? And so I think it's important I do say this, because guys will get into a sort of a black pilled doom and gloom when we read this stuff, and you don't. Just, you know, oh, if she's had sex with even a couple of guys, she won't have the, you know, the satisfaction for me like she did her first partner, so there's no hope for me. Well, that's just not true, because when you know, these statistics don't take into account a dude that has all the information that we're giving out. We're just a speck in the dust out of 7 billion people. All right. So like a couple hundred guys in one of your courses or my courses or something we're doing together to help dudes out is a speck of dudes out of 7 billion. We're not showing up on the statistics. All right. When we apply it to the anecdotal situation, time and time again, I've seen girls absolutely melting into a dude's frame who have had some backgrounds that aren't so good. The difference is, though, is the girl was even despite her background, she demonstrated capability, she demonstrated accountability, and she was able to be in that guy's frame. That's the difference. You know what I mean? And so don't try to save her, okay, because I said that. But don't be doom and gloom either, being like, oh, well, if she's not a virgin, then we're screwed. Because I know there's somebody in the chat saying that right now. Not necessarily true, okay? Chances of her being a virgin is pretty much next to zero nowadays. It's pretty low, unless you're, you know, just is the way it is, right? So what do you do with that? Well, what you do is you have game. That's what you do. And you have frame. And that's the things that we talk about in order for guys to create the maximum experience for a girl so she can reignite those neurochemical bonding mechanisms that have been sort of blunted and shattered. You know what I mean? But again, all right. So that's on that note. So let's go.
Let me do some quick super chats. And guys, a lot of questions are popping up in the chat. If you want to, you know, derail the conversation, send a super chat. We'll answer it. My Truth, $5 super chats. I finally started legitimate trauma healing. Inner game healing was fire. In 2 steps, reached 6 figures, nomad job, to jettison this culture in search of a more traditional society. Good work. Get it going.
Look at this guy, man. See, I love that shit, dude. That's awesome.
Casey James.
It's not as hard as you guys think, man, when you get the tools.
Oh, yeah. I know America is bad, but it's not hard to get black pilled when you two give great breakdowns for problems. Yeah, listen, here's the deal. Look, I'm going to be very, very clear one more time when I say this, okay? When we are here talking about this stuff on my channel and Paul's channel, we are not sitting around crying about the problem. We are solution oriented because we're past the fucking crybaby stage. Okay. There's two types of content creators in the red pill space. Okay. They're the people that are the alerters. Okay. And these are the people who are making you aware of the problem. People who do this, Fresh and Fit, Just Pearly Things, Rollo Tomasi, all these people, they bring alertness, they bring awareness to the problem. People like myself, people like Paul, people like Justin Mark, people like Ryan from Inner Masculine, we are solution oriented.
Right.
You could sit there and cry like a fucking baby, but at the end of the day, none of this shit's going to get solved unless you take action. And taking action isn't joining some course and just saying, oh, I bought a course, now I changed. No, the change starts with you. And the only way you're going to get change is by taking action. And if you don't take action, here's the harsh reality of life. You are inevitably going to suffer. You are going to suffer. You're going to have pain. You're going to have trauma. Your life is going to get harder and more worse if you don't fucking get your shit together. So this is why we're talking about this here. It is possible. Look, if I had to go back to America, okay, after I smoked like 7,000 pounds of weed, I would eventually be able to fucking find a decent woman and be A-okay. Okay.
Just don't do it in Canada. Their weed's really strong there.
Paul the reinforcement. Paul's the one who saved me the day after my fucking edible nightmare.
That's it. I like the commercial. It's just like combat vet. Like that's like, what does he do? He's a combat vet. I don't know. He just does pull up the shit and comes and gets me when I get high too much.
Yeah, I couldn't put all your accolades. I'd have to extend the commercial for like
no, it's fine. I just think it's funny. I'm just doing pull-ups as like combat vet. I'm like, hell yeah. I like that better than any of the other stuff. Anyway,
sign up for all the badassery. Go to masculineempowermentnetwork.com. But yeah, if you guys like Aaron Martinez, I see you asking questions and stuff. You guys just got to send a super chat. Support the channel, guys. Support it. I mean, we're out here putting out free content. I have like 1,500 videos on my one channel here, not including my clips channel as well. Paul has like fucking hundreds of hours of content. Send a super chat if you want a question answered. Let's continue on with the studies. Do you want to continue on with this one, or do you want to see something else?
Yeah, no, let's do that. I want to make another point here about this too, is that whenever you are facing dire statistics, a winner looks at those statistics and he says, all right, how can I use this to my advantage? And what is it that the statistical anomalies did to be successful? When you look at, starting a business, the failure rate in this, whatever is, let's say 80, 90%, whatever it is, right? What did that 10% do to be successful? What were their actions? See, I want to be part of the 10%, not just assume I'm going to be a failure because most people failed, right? Approach your dating life a bit like that too. You know what I mean? Like, you have to because women today are so, we'll say, I don't want to say they're all broken, but they're put in a bad mental framework and a bad paradigm of how things should go. And guys too, unfortunately, in a different way. You can absolutely have peak relationships with women, have great times. Even if those relationships don't last, you'll have no regrets. And then you can have relationships that do last too. People do it all the time. So even the promiscuity statistics, this doesn't give women permission to have bad behavior. This doesn't give you permission to create more difficulty for yourselves by taking women on that have problems. But there is a smaller percentage that we're able to be successful, and will teach you the things that'll allow you to be that smaller percentage. There's a small percentage of people, like 10% maybe, give or take, depending on what study you look at, that are happy long past the 8-year mark in their long-term relationships. If you want that to be you, or just to have, girls be in your frame and be super excited, have great experiences. There's the game stuff. There's the frame stuff. There's things that you can do, right? And if you're a woman listening, there's things you can do to bring your value up, even if you have had bad behavior in the past. But the first step to all of that on both the guy and the girl side is to recognize the problem. All right. So if if your girl's gone through a bunch of bodies, that's a problem. You got to recognize that and then go, okay, what are we going to do about it? right? If has a past that's not conducive of having healthy relationships, she needs to make herself a good woman by starting with recognizing that problem. You know, I haven't had a good model and I made a lot of mistakes in my past, and I'm trying to figure out how to do things differently. A girl who says that is demonstrating value and capability. A
Right.
girl that blames everybody else, which most of them will do, is probably not worth, taking them on for anything long term.
No, definitely not.
And so, yeah, I want to make that point because I have girls that get like really discouraged, but that's also a cap too. It's like, well, I'll never be whatever because I did this bad behavior. So I guess I'm not going to work on myself and just be the same hoe. Like, no. Okay. Like, no, you can do things by finding your value right now today. Right. And so if you're not seeing that in this girl that you want to save, guys in the audience, then she's not worth saving. She doesn't want to be saved. Rap song, whatever. Okay, that's rap lyrics, I think. All right, so going on to the bullets.
I'm going to read this real quick. Kathy Vega says a very good point here. The issue is also women aren't being taught to truly support and uplift men. It's true.
Yeah.
Instead, they're being taught to treat men as nothing but a rite of passage, conquering them with the hope men will want it. Yeah, women, they are looking at men because here's this thing: the reality of America now, we've gotten so far down this cycle of whoredom. You have whores raising whores, and it's sad to say, but that's just exactly what we're having. You're having single women who are destroying families, taking their fucking families, like initiating divorces. Literally, just like the destroyer of families in America are women. And then you're having them raise the children and then treating the son, you're bad, you're evil, you're just like your dad. Girl, don't trust dad, don't trust, any men, all men are shit. And you have these two broken members that you're just fucking sending out into society. And the statistical the data is there as well. When a child is raised by a single father, there's almost no difference between a single parent household, or excuse me, a two-parent household. But when a single mother raises children, forget about it. Their kids are going to go to jail. They're going to be involved in drugs, sexual promiscuities earlier on in life. Like the list goes on and on and on. So you have this broken women raising broken women. And there's really no stopping to this cycle unless you get educated as a man and you focus on yourself. You become high value enough, which really, what is high value in America? Don't be a fat fuck. Have a job, show up on time, go to the gym, and manage your finances and manage your diet. That's literally it. That's it. You're high value.
The basics, and that's interesting. You mentioned that because I've had a number of experiences where seeing certain women, like I obviously been with an embarrassingly amount of women, so I have a lot of experiences personal, right? And seeing where the moms were conditioning the daughters to be these, basically to be these very sexual, promiscuous, controlling, type of women that are horrible for any kind of relationship. And then there's the guys who are their ex-husbands and their fathers and, stepdads and all that, are just letting these women run the show. So I can think of one particular incident with somebody that her mother, she'd been through a number of marriages, very controlling, also very miserable, and it's sad because that was her model on what she had learned on how to protect herself and how to keep herself safe. Her safe world theory involved never submit to a man, never let a man have sexual power over you. She took her daughter and her daughter's friend when they were in high school still, out on vacation, out to Jamaica to go get. Now, this wasn't the reason she, of course, she's not saying she did this to take her daughter to get railed, but that's exactly what she was doing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, daughter wins a twerking contest that weekend. Daughters, ends up hooking up and getting, we'll say, Jamaicaned Okay. We'll just say Jamaican. To my Jamaican brothers,
you got really got
good
black
job
pilled.
alpha widowing women across the land with your Jamaican, parts of your body. So 18 years old in high school, mom is like taking her daughter it's like she wanted her daughter to be alpha widowed and to never ever have any sexual submission to a guy. That was what she wanted. She promoted her daughter to be out living her best life, and you have a good time and you don't need to whatever. I mean, that's the model. And of course, she, was a broken person in her relationships and had terrible behavior and did manipulative things to try to get power over her partners, because she couldn't submit to a man. She couldn't see good outcomes to, to being in a guy's frame. So she was always domineering, always trying to control, always trying to do those things. And it's sad. You see that stuff. And the moms, are now we're several generations in of moms making that happen.
And anytime I see this, I want to address this. I could tell this is an old guy out of touch with reality. So this Dylan Gordon guy says men need to not chase and just focus on their purpose and level up. Then you have better sections to pick from. No, that is not the case, Dylan. And this is why we're on screen and you're at home watching. When you don't have game, you don't know what a good woman is, and you don't know what a bad woman is. And when you level up and you increase your value, that attracts a higher level of predator that hunts after these high value men. So if you don't have game, you don't have frame, you are a victim waiting to happen in today's modern sexual marketplace.
Yeah,
okay?
I agree.
This is shitty advice. This is garbage advice. I know you probably comes from a good place, okay? But mate, you've been playing a little too much Halo, okay, buddy? But mate, you old boomer dudes with this retarded ass shit, okay? I'm sorry, I got to give you one of these.
Uh-oh, retard alert.
That's like saying, okay, just fucking study one subject and eventually you'll be a master in another subject. No, you need to understand female nature. You need to understand female psychology. You need to understand women. Well, because when a guy has no experience, he's going to project his interest level onto the woman. And you see this happen all the time. Look what happened with Johnny Depp. He's ultra famous, ultra successful. How did he get caught up with the fucking crazy bitch? He had trauma from his childhood. He didn't have any game. He never needed any game because he's been famous.
He didn't need the game, and that's why. But he didn't think he needed game. But he did.
Yeah, he was famous since he debuted on Nightmare on Elm Street. And so that being said, he got dragged through public humiliation and losing hundreds of millions of dollars in potential deals. He got kicked from Disney doing Pirates of the Caribbean. They're one of their most popular and financially lucrative franchises. I think a lot of people don't understand how lucrative the Pirates of the Caribbean.
He was an icon for Disney, man. And that whole thing,
and he lost it all.
Well, yeah,
but just level up, and then you'll be able to figure it out. No,
right? No. That I've talked about that, dude. Like, you're right. It's just bad advice, man. Because here's the thing: there's a couple of things you're going to, your main imperative on an instinctual level is to take care of your mating problem. So what you end up doing is spending a lot of energy and time and effort trying to not deal with women. Well, why don't you just learn how to do that better? The other part of it is too, it's like that saying that would be the equivalent of saying, you know what, just work on your business and don't take care of your body. Don't worry about eating healthy. That's too much effort. Don't worry about, going to the gym and being physically fit. Well, we know what happens. We've seen guys who do that. Their health problems impact their success and their energy and their attitude and their moods and how they show up. It hinders their success because they're not taking care of that key area of their life. Yeah. Taking care of the mating area of your life is important, or it'll hinder your success. And if it doesn't do it early, it does it later.
And it's two-part as well, because the first part is you actually have to understand how to get women. But this is what a lot of pickup artists do. They learn how to get women, they learn how to get sex. But the back end of it is they don't know how to manage a relationship, because
Right.
men are the stewards of relationships. Men are the one who oversee the relationship. Okay. You're the one that's in charge and in control. Okay. You have to be the rock. That's why I always say have frame, because when your woman is fucking flying off the rails and going on some psychotic fucking emotional tirade because some coworker at work made fun of her, or somebody left a bad comment on her Instagram, or whatever she's freaking out for, you need to be rock solid and be like, all right, I understand you going crazy. When is this going to stop? Because you need to chill out. Everything's going to be okay. And you need to be that emotional rock, because when you join her in her panic and insanity, now you're in her frame. And when you're in her frame, you're in a frame of insecurity, fear, doubt, anxiety. Okay. You have to be rock solid and understand what the hell's going on with her. And you need to reel her in and bring her back down and be like, listen, bitch, it's going to be okay. Calm the fuck down. Okay. Real quick, Jack, $20 super chat. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. All skills are perishable. Always got to work the game. Absolutely. Absolutely.
100%. All right. So we're going back to the study, I think. Get this done. All right. So this is interesting. This next point is really interesting, actually. I didn't even think about this till I looked at it. Risk levels are the same whether sexual experience happens inside or outside committed relationships. Well, so here's what that means, and I'll read the bottom part here. Simply put, it appears that it does not matter if a person's sexual experience before marriage is gained in a series of committed relationships or in a series of casual hookups. Either, both types of sexual experiences appear to have a cumulative negative impact on later marital satisfaction, sexual satisfaction, and marital stability. Boom. I don't know if you guys realize how impacting that is, because women like to be, the thing is to be serial monogamy, right? And so the ones who are not outright just hoe phasing it, when they get out of that, maybe that phase, for a lot of girls, it might last a year and a half. Well, then what they do is they do serial monogamy, and they justify what they do. They go, well, I'm always in a relationship when I'm hooking, I've only done a one night stand once or twice, but I'm always like with somebody in a relationship. Oh, okay.
And it's hoe phase light. That's all it is.
That's all it is. Hoe phase life. They're in relationship 1 for 2.5 months. Relationship 2 for 5, relationship 3 for 3. You know what I mean? Like, and they're justifying what they do.
Sorry, these aren't even fucking relationships.
No,
these girls are getting pumped and dumped. And guys, typically, if there's a bitch with problems in your life, you'll typically fuck her for like 2 to 4 months. Yeah. She'll call it a relationship. She's like, oh, he's my boyfriend and blah, 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 blah. And we're totally in love. And he's just like, yeah, I'm just fucking this bitch and she's retarded. So
yeah,
I'm gonna keep her around and get all this free pussy I can until I'm fucking done of her craziness. And then I'm gonna kick her to the fucking curb, because that's what guys will do, because the best pussy is a new pussy, but that new pussy smell fades away after 2 to 6 months max.
Old and musty. No, I'm just kidding.
And then typically her because another thing is this: women who are typically involved, dating apps, hookup culture, this kind of shit, they have mental problems. And eventually those mental problems get to the point where the guy's like, I don't want to fucking deal with this crazy bitch anymore. Block, ghost, see you later. And then what happens? He was a toxic narcissist.
Oh,
he didn't love me. I was just perfect. Blah, blah, blah. And then what do they do? Then they recover. How do they recover? Go get some more fucking dicks. Chop, 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 chop. And then, okay, now I got dicked down by some fucking guy in Jamaica and then Mexico and then my coworker. Okay, now I'm healed. I'm ready to get back on Bumble and do it again. Oh, I'm so cleaned up in my trauma.
Yeah.
And they just do this all the way into their 30s, 40s, 50s until they fucking own 100 cats and die alone.
Yeah, well, right. Or worse, get into a relationship with a guy, get married, and then ruin his life, and then try to rinse and repeat their 20s when they're 40, 45 years old, right? Like, and it's just incredible stuff. And again, it's not to shame women, dude. I feel bad for women for having been conditioned and taught that this is the way to be successful. I lose that benevolence though when women want to argue with me about it instead of look at the actual, the what the truth is and the data, the research, the numbers. I lose that benevolence for that reason, for the reason that I'm not going to let some hoe that won't admit to her problems and that's so solipsistic and, selfish and narcissistic with her approach to the marketplace, maintain this narrative just for her self-esteem when there's a ton of women out there who are suffering, right? And men that are suffering too, because of how these, getting into it with these women. And they need to make changes and they need to start making changes now, whether they have been through 2 bodies or 50, you got to change it now or you're not going to do well. You're going to be, how happy is high Britney Spears right now? Like, I feel bad for her. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to, cry over her, lose sleep, but you feel bad over that. Like, that's not, have empathy for that. So like anyone who wants to come onto your channel, come onto my channel, call us misogynists, say that we're whatever, that we don't, we hate women. That's absolute bullshit. We're having these conversations because we want both men and women to be successful in their relationships. We coach men, but if there aren't healthy women out there to be with, well, then then we're going to have a different type of coaching session. It's going to be a struggle. So we want more healthy women. We want more women to take accountability for this shit. You know what I mean? So anyway, I found that really interesting, that point, because there's this smoke and mirrors or this gaslighting that somehow, I was in relationships. If serial monogamy is not really helping their case, setting up the mates, learning how to set up the mate switch, have the male orbiters, and then monkey branch to the next dude is not conducive of long-term relationship success. And those are the things that we know on the ground in the field that these women do who have these serial relationships and who say, well, I've been through so many guys, but they were all in relationships. We know what that means. We know that meant when she saw the signs, the writing on the wall, or got bored with this guy, she banged his friend or his brother and then was in a new relationship or that guy, right? Like, whether she cheats or just sort of monkey branches it. How is that a skill set that's going to be helpful for long-term success? It's not. It's going to hinder that, right? And so that's what we got to look at. The types of things they're conditioning with their behaviors and their mental frameworks. So the next one, it is possible to overcome past sexual decisions and change future marriage outcomes. So they didn't lose their funding. They put that in there, but it is true though. Okay. So what are they saying? It should be noted that even about 10 to 15% of sexually experienced individuals report that they're in flourishing marriages, which is what I go back to, 1 in 10. Okay. Like, there might be somebody who can overcome their shit, and it's going to depend on that individual, but don't take on the mindset of you need to save her, because you can't. If she's going to be part of the 10%, she has to overcome her stuff by herself, like on her own accord, through her own efforts. She's, she has to be, even if she were in a relationship with you, because some of you guys, I realize, married this girl and now you're sitting here going, fuck, what do I do? Right? Well, she's capable of fixing herself. She needs to take the ownership and responsibility for doing that. Right? Well, you let her do that. You help enable her to do it, but she has to do the work. You can't do it for her. You're not going to rescue this damsel in distress who is, just battled all the dicks in the neighborhood, and now you're going to rescue her from herself. Like, that doesn't happen. All right. She has to rescue herself from herself. And that's a really important point. you know. So looking through, like, let's just look through the things that would make somebody, a woman, be a shitty relationship partner.
Can
And
we?
let's
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I want to do that, but the second part I want to do there real quick is
Yeah.
I definitely want to talk about which study you have here that shows two things. One, why promiscuity leads to infidelity. Why the
Hmm.
more promiscuous she is, the more likely she is to cheat on you. I
Yeah.
think that's the study we have here. The ones you have
Mhm.
from the Athens Journal.
Yep, I got that one too. So let's go into
I'll pull this down for now.
sharing. Yep.
And
So
then another thing, yeah, like Paul was saying, and I'd say this is a joke, but it's true. Like, guys, the ghost of Dick Miss Past always comes back to haunt the woman, bro. I have dated a girl where like dudes are just constantly coming back from her past, trying to get some more pussy. And this happens more often than you believe. I was on a date with a chick, and she was fucking telling me that a guy she dated 3 years ago was like, "Oh, hey, I lost my AirPods, and I was wondering if you had them by chance." 3 years ago. And he's like, "I just wondering if you have my AirPods by chance." She was like,
oh yeah, I've had them for 3 years.
dude,
Why don't you come over and get them?
there's AirPods Pro now. There's AirPods Max. Like, just for it, like, cut your losses and just go get the new shit. But it's just so annoying too when you're like with a girl and then there's just constantly these dudes from her past, like, "Oh hey, I'm gonna be in town. Oh hey, this. Oh hey, that." And you're just like, bro, fucking Christ, why are these people not blocked? Like, what is this? Like your fucking whore Rolodex? Like, just get these people out of your life. Change this fucking number. I don't have time for this shit. When you're a guy who's focusing on the core four, money, muscles, game, frame, you don't have time for that trashy, low class, slutty behavior. You just don't have time for that.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
we have this study here, and I'm going to put the link in the chat for you guys to follow along at home with this study. We put the Wheatley study in the chat earlier. Brigham Young University, and second note here is that's the second chat. Athens, I'll drop it for you boys on Rumble too. Here's a chat for you guys. The link right there. Check out the study. This is all backed by science and studies, guys. So like I said, we're not just two angry old men shouting on the fucking interwebs.
Spouting on the internet. These women today. Yeah. No.
Those angry old men have other channels. You can go find them, but we're back with science. Okay.
Keep in mind, we're in the same dating market as all you guys, 20 girls that are in their 20s and 30s. Like, and I mean, that's what we're seeing the same girls. Like, I would totally, not to say I wouldn't go with a woman who is older, who, checked all the blocks, but it just so turns out that I end up with women in their not super early 20s. They're usually, other than just little experiences here and there, but
dude, I went on a date the other day.
Early to mid 20s. What's that?
Let me tell you something. I went on a date the other day with a girl who was 24 years old from the fucking countryside of Japan. And she's just such a like naive, innocent klutz. It's just so refreshing. Her hobbies include reading Dante's Divine Comedy, and we went to the library for the second half of our second date because she wanted to show me, because she doesn't own a TV. She likes to read books at home and hang out. I was just like, this is so refreshing after dealing with sluts in the past. Just like have a decent person with me.
Right. So we'll jump into this one real quick. But yeah, there's plenty of young, hot girls out there, especially not in the United States. They're harder to find in the US, not impossible, but much more difficult. That are like that. It is refreshing when they are capable, and you don't have to put this massive amount of effort. That was one thing I noticed. I got used to. I cut my teeth with game on difficult women, and then when I started going with women with certain value systems are a bit easier in my life, I was like, holy smokes, like this is way better, But let's look at the hypothesis, because it's a lot to read, so you guys can read through it, but we'll just break down what they thought they would find, and we can kind of go over what they ended up finding, or at least I can paraphrase it. But they wanted to study the relationship between emotional promiscuity and sexual and emotional infidelity, right? So, and also, they did cover, sexual behavior and stuff like that, right? A sexual promiscuity. So they sexual promiscuity has been researched for a long time as correlating with infidelity statistics. Like that is a Google thing. We don't need to, I don't need to provide much of that for you. You just needed to use your Google machine, because that stuff's been well established that promiscuous behavior correlates with infidelity stats. I mean, that's just a fact. And there's been a ton of studies, repeatable, different test samples, different parts of the world that demonstrate that. Okay, so what they wanted to do was look at what they would call emotional promiscuity, meaning falling in love very quickly. But they did also in this study look at sexual promiscuity also. So they looked at both because those two things are tied together, right? And they wanted to see if there was a few hypotheses were true. And one of those was emotional promiscuity is positively correlated with emotional infidelity. So the girl who falls in love quickly and, has a lot of, dream relationships with a lot of guys, a lot of, where she's really, really super emotional right away, love bombing types, right? The ones who go for you quickly. Those types of girls who fall in love easily, quickly, and they do it with multiple guys. Yes, it's correlated with the girl who's going to cheat on you. And she's going to cheat on you DMing other guys when she's, mad at you. And, instead of dealing with you and dealing with the relationship conflict because you told her no, she's going to be DMing her friend and having, sexting that guy, sending him, nudes. These are all things that revolve in emotional infidelity. Even like sexting and stuff isn't considered sexual infidelity till they actually have sex with each other, right? And so that's going to happen. And emotional infidelity is correlated with sexual infidelity. All right. So when we look at this too, sexual promiscuity is positively correlated with sexual infidelity. So they found that both these things to be true in the study.
Can I ask something real quick?
Yeah.
So, because this happens to a lot of guys too, right? A lot of guys, they will get the girl and she'll fall in love with them quick and hard, and the guy will be like, "Oh, I'm the fucking man.
I'm
I'm everything. I'm fucking top donator and Fresh and Fit." Like all this shit. They'll start thinking this is a good thing. But can you explain how that leads to eventually her cheating, falling out of love, and all that stuff as well?
Right. Because that's a really important point, and that is such an important thing to look at, especially you guys who've been damaged by, like, we'll say the attachment problemed women or personality disordered women, like the narcissists, the covert narcissists, the borderline personality disorders, who run you through an abuse cycle of love bombing and idealization that then moves and flips into devaluing you, valuization into discard. So that's the cycle where they basically repeat that cycle of abuse with any and every partner. You are just the person that is playing the role. You're not special. And that really is hard for these guys who wrap their identity up in toxic women, because they will fight me or want to. I mean, they're not really going to fight me, let's be real, but they're going to want to fight me, like they're going to be mad at me when I point out, even sometimes in sessions, I watch guys get mad. They've all been good and everything, right? But they get mad, like physically pissed off sometimes when you tell them that you are not important to her. You were nothing. They can't handle that shit because they want to be something. I'm something. I know I'm her sexual best, even though blah, blah. Why do why do you give a shit? You know what I mean? She doesn't have if she's borderline personality disorder or covert narcissist, she doesn't have the ability to recognize whether you are her best or not. Her best is who's in front of her right now. And then she discards that guy and rinses and repeat. There is no best for her. She can't suss that out because the
Yeah.
disorder gets in the way. You are literally just a replaceable person. That's a hard pill to swallow for these dudes. Really is. And my heart goes out because I've been there, man. I've been with a nurse. I had to go with a narcissist and a BPD chick. I had to do both of those things. And when I said, I mean untreated BPD. We're finding that BPD is on a scale, and sometimes there's treatable stuff. But that chick's not going to show up like BPD. She'll show up a lot different, you know. And she's usually older too. She's not in her 20s. Okay, she's usually towards her 30s or beyond that if she's been helped. All right, but
I want to re-summarize that. So you're saying that when a woman falls in love with you quickly, it's really not about the guy. This is more about her.
Well, sure, because think about it like this: she doesn't know you. She only knows her experience of you. Now, here's what healthy looks like. Healthy looks like she's excited, a little bit anxious, and she's trying to hold herself back from, like, I don't want him to think I'm too eager. This guy might be an asshole. Like, I'm going to hold back a little bit. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to, be toxic in how I hold it back. I'll allow myself to, freely have a good time on dates, but I'm going to be careful about these emotions until I really get to know the guy. And for a healthy girl who's really, really attracted to you, like you're the alpha dude, that she thinks you're that guy, like you're really sweeping her off her feet. She's going to be like, trying to balance that. I want to just run off into the sunset with this guy with, I need to be careful because I need to protect myself and I don't know him that well. And that's healthy. And what that demonstrates is a key characteristic as a green flag, which is delayed gratification. She wants to fall in love with you, run off into the sunset, but she knows she doesn't know you well enough. And she knows that that could be damaging. And she knows that she needs to give it time for this to unfold. And so she delays the gratification of being in love in this perfect relationship until, she has a little bit more time with you, a little bit more comfort. That's a healthy thing to do. That demonstrates a healthy attachment style, right?
What would that time frame be? What is a healthy time frame from the first time you fuck her till when?
I would say 6 to 8 weeks if you're seeing her about once a week. You know what I mean? Because, it develops and grows. And even then, like, okay, she could be all like ready to, she's like, I think I'm in love with this guy, right? She's at that point. It's still a development. She's not like, let's get married tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm falling in love with you. This is great. I want to see you more. Right. And then there's more of that, but there's development. She gives the relationship time to develop because she has healthy attachment style and capabilities.
Right.
When somebody is all love bombing you right away, you guys think it's because you're so alpha. You guys, a lot of these guys are like, my penis is magic, and this is why she's doing this. Here's two things to think about. Well, number one is she doesn't know you, therefore she's done this before. Like, this is not her first rodeo of love bombing a guy. So all the shit she's doing with you, she has done. If you're not the first person she's ever been with, she has done this and rinsed and repeated this multiple times. Yeah. So you're not special. So that's the first thing you need to keep in mind. And then the second thing is like, yeah, it's demonstrating it could be a predatory thing in terms of some women because they could be doing this in order to rope you in to use you for what we call a supply, which is what personality disordered people do. People with dark triad traits. By the way, another study demonstrating dark triad traits correlating with promiscuity for both men and women. But anyway, she's a dark triad psychopathic type of a woman who wants to just use you. And that's how her model of how to, do relationships. She's going to try to get you emotionally bought in as quickly as possible. And this is why she's going to bomb you with all this stuff. And she'll be, make you feel like you're the man so that she can take that away from you later. So that would be the predatory aspect of it. But a lot of times not necessarily predatory. It's just she has an attachment problem. And so she is jumping into and trying to fabricate this love relationship that hasn't had the time to really unfold. So what the danger of that is she's filling in the blanks of what she doesn't know about you with an idealized version of you. So that means you are literally the fantasy to her, but you're not a fantasy. You're a human being. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to do weird things. You're going to, fart in the bed at some point. You're going to, you know what I mean? You're going to do human being stuff. Yeah. What's going to end up happening is that's going to blow apart that fantasy for her. And now her attraction is going to plummet. She'll alpha widow herself with the fantasy of who you were. That's the danger of it. You know what I mean? Because the real you will never match the flawless person that she's built you up to be in her first 2 weeks of being with you. So a girl who's more mentally healthy, more calibrated, more rooted in reality, doesn't have attachment issues or disorders, or, she's going to let it unfold. And her attitude's like, man, I really like this guy. I'm super excited, but we'll see. We're seeing each other. I'm on my 3rd or 4th or 5th date. We just had sex, like all weekend for the first time. It was amazing, but we'll see where it goes, like hopefully things are going to keep going, right? It's a lot of hope. It's a lot of openness and a lot of, positivity of future results, but it's not this love bombing stuff. That's definitely, and that's emotional promiscuity. Somebody who is love bombing and gets in these relationships all the time, that also correlates, of course, with high body count, right? Right. And these girls, there's nothing special about the guys they're hooking up with.
It always goes back to high body count. Just girls, what my advice for the modern Western woman is, or the modern woman is literally shut your mouth and shut your legs. Like when in doubt, shut your mouth, shut your legs. That's going to save you 95% of the time. Should I fuck this guy? No, I'm going to shut my mouth and shut my legs. I'm going to go home. Like, that's it. Stop eating so much. Stop talking so much. Stop being such a fucking slut. It's very simple. It's very, very simple and an effective method. But
right.
They can't seem to even do that. It's just like, what, and let me ask you this as the expert you are. Okay. Why is it that after a breakup, these girls feel the need to go out and get fucked by a bunch of other guys to like heal from the other guy? Like, how does that's like saying, I'm addicted to cocaine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to smoke some crack for the next few days to really kick this cocaine addiction. Like, right. Can you explain the cognitive dissonance there to me? I don't understand.
Well, you described it really well. It would be like somebody who let's say, is addicted to Xanax. And then they say, you know what? This Xanax has been a problem in my life. So I'm going to rail heroin instead. I'm going to get into heavy opiates to get rid of the Xanax thing. Yeah. Okay. They could probably get over Xanax when they're railing a heroin into their veins. That actually happens, unfortunately, with a lot of addicts, right? They get addicted to things like Xanax or pain pills. And then they, to get over that, they end up transferring that addiction into something heavier. Well, this is why do they do that? Because there's something called, there's pain associated with the loss of neurochemical relief and pleasure that they got from that previous thing. And so they're seeking the quickest, easiest way to get over and blunt that pain. And so for a girl who's designed to pair bond or bond with people sexually, if she's been bonded with this guy sexually, right, to whatever capacity she could bond with him, once that's over with, she knows she's going to feel better the faster she breaks that bond. And so she runs off and has sex with a bunch of people and gets in these little things and gets into the rebound, because that's going to make her feel better right away. All she's doing is transferring, though, that need and desire that she developed with this person into a variety of partners or short-term flings, which conditions her for getting those needs met in a more intense fashion with short-term flings. So now she's 30. Okay, let's fast forward. She's 30, she's 35. She meets a great guy. She wants to settle down. neurochemically, she cannot get the same high with the nice guy she wants to settle down with. You know, girls who cuck their dudes and run off and cheat and have all that excitement from the cheating partner just getting like railed somewhere, like, you know, and then she sneaks around or whatever and could get caught and all that stuff. That all increases the intensity of this experience for her. Now she's going to settle down with this good dude who's like, you know, top of his engineering group somewhere and could provide a nice life for her. Probably not, right? That's not going to be exciting enough for her. You see what I mean? And so like she has been imprinted by these, you know, these highly impacting experiences on her neurochemical system. And now she's supposed to, you know, go for something that's less, you know, stimulating. That's really, really hard, really, really difficult. And that's why as I mentioned, you know, creating intensity within the relationship, if a guy's capable of that, is the way out of it. Re-imprinting her sexually is the way out of it. But she may not be capable of that. Like you could be the biggest, baddest Chad in the world and she won't get herself out of it. Right. Yeah. Let me use a really good and serious example, which is why I'm very much against going for girls that are too young for their own safety. And I don't mean safety physically in terms of like, you know, physical injury or something, but their own prognosis for success in the sexual marketplace. This is why, like, even when I'm dating and I've had like the 19-year-olds want to hook up with me, I've turned those down so far since I've been in my mid 30s ever since. And it always happens. And I do turn those down. I try to keep it to a certain age of brain development for them. Here's why I do that. If a girl is, let's say, common thing, 15 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old, hooking up with a dude who's 25, right? Happens all the time. That girl's brain is still developing. That girl's emotional well-being and sense of self. She doesn't even have her own identity fully developed yet at 15, 16, 17. This guy might not be the top G in the world, okay, at 25, but to her, he is a super alpha because he's this adult male. So the rift or the spread between her level of power and maturity and this guy's level of power is so big that she is effectively alpha widowed from that guy and can't probably recover. Because let's say now she's, you know, fast forward, she's 30 years old and she meets Superman, Super Chad at 30, right? She meets the dude who's like super alpha guy. Well, here's the problem. She's an adult at 30. He's an adult, let's say at 40. Okay. Let's say he's older or he's 35, whatever. He could be all the Chad in the world. He could be better than the guy that she was sleeping with when she was 15 and he was 25 or something. But doesn't matter because she was so immature and that guy was so mature that it created this gap now in maturity that can't be overcome now, even by the most alpha dude. If she, you know, has a train run on her at a party or right, or she's doing MMF threesomes, or she's getting Jamaican out in freaking with her mom, you know, giving her the thumbs up as she, you know, comes in the morning the next day, you know, limping sore from the experience, right? And they're high-fiving each other. These are all experiences. This 18-year-old girl hooking up with a 28-year-old, you know, dude who's just alpha widowing girls, vacationers left and right? You could be the biggest Chad in the world, dude. Like, you're not going to just outdo that experience for her. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. Guys want to like make it about them and their inadequacies and their insecurities. Bullshit. It has nothing to do with you. It's not your fault she got damaged or damaged herself from her behavior. It's not your fault. It's not your responsibility to fix it. None of that shit, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's
I think it's one thing, guys, and it's a really, this is a black pill. It's a dark reality that people do have to accept. Okay. Some people are too far gone.
Yeah.
There's no hope. And I'm sorry to say this, but the majority of the women in the United States are doomed. That's not saying like, but it is more than 50%. Okay.
Sure. And I will add to that though, real quick, to make it not so deterministic. They're doomed because they choose to be doomed.
Yes.
When a woman can see the problem and is willing to fix it, even if she was Jamaican, even if she was, statutory, even if she was, run through a bunch or whatever, has a bad, if she sees the problem and is willing to work on it, just like, okay, let's look at drug users, heroin addicts. There's only a 10% rate of success for heroin addicts getting over that. So don't ever do that drug, FYI. That said, 10% do get over it. There's that statistical anomaly. There's something about that person, maybe genetically, that we need to figure. And there's something about what they're doing in their behavior that allows them to get out of it. So girls that are watching, girls, and we can turn this around when we have conversations like what we're having right now, where women go, you know what? These guys are right. And instead of sitting here squealing out in the streets that I should be able to rail dudes and everything, and these guys are misogynist, maybe I should look at this stuff and go, you know what? Yeah, this is right. And unfortunately, I've been lied to, and I need to start today on fixing my problems. Like, that's more girls do that. Those, you're right. 50-60% will fucking gone no matter what. But the ones that choose to do that can be saved. So, they have to save themselves. And I'm saying that really for the girls out there that listen, that don't give up. You can do that. And guys, don't like shit all over them. Just don't wife them up, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? Like, anyway.
Yeah. So. And it's just, like I said, it's very, it's just very true, because the reality is dark, man. And that's like, I'm telling you, like, this is not me just like creating a false problem to make you guys feel fear. So you sign up for the Masculine Empowerment Network. Like, behind the scenes, when I call Paul, it's not like, hey, dude, did you watch some fucking sports or some shit? It's like, Paul, I have a problem. I want to get better. Help me out. Like that, all of our conversations, everything are solution oriented. Okay. Yeah. When we linked up, when we both went to Canada to meet Justin Mark, we were fucking sizing him up. We were going to be like, okay, let's see what this kid's all about. And we were there objectively to understand his inner game situation in regards to his teaching method and his game and his fucking levels of, high levels of social acuity. And I was like,
pleasantly surprised, by the way, and happy to bring him on board. I just want to say that. Like, the guy's
1,000%. 1,000% love Justin, but we went up there to size him up for business and to see we need better men in our group. We need more leaders. We need to expand the Masculine Empowerment Network. And he checked every fucking box. So we're telling you this because this is your reality. Okay. And this bullshit, I was doing so many guys, and this is a high level cope. Okay. A lot of guys think that if I just get a fucking Versace hoodie, and if I get some money and I have a nice place and I have a good car and I buy a Rolex, then women are going to fucking come to me. They literally think that by becoming a fucking, you're really setting yourself up to be a pay pig. You're really indirectly simping for women, because all you're telling yourself is like, okay, me as a man, I'm not good enough. But if I put on the Louis Vuitton hat, if I put on the fucking Gucci shirt, if I put on a gold necklace, if I get a fucking Rolex, then the women will come. Okay. That's not the case. No. I already have game. I was getting game when I was a fucking broke bum. Paul too. This shit is just icing on the fucking very done cake now. All right. So that's the difference between me and you guys. I had a guy, and he's in his 40s, and the guy was just like, I got these shoes, they're Louboutin, and I got this fucking jacket, it's Gucci, and I got this, and it's got that. I'm like, bro, you are still a fat old man with no game. Right. So you're just a fat old man wearing this shit. If you don't get your body right and you don't get your game right, this is your life. And the same thing for you guys. If you do not get solid mentally up here, if you do not truly understand female psychology, you don't understand what's happening in this culture, okay, you're going to suffer. You're going to get burned. And another thing is this: on your journey of self-improvement and education, you're going to suffer and get burned regardless.
Yes.
So get ready to feel the fucking pain, motherfuckers. It's
right.
coming one way or another, you know?
And embrace it though, because you can use it to level yourself up even more. Painful experiences have been some of the most rewarding experiences as far as making yourself better. But you have to have the skills to do that. You know, if you don't have the skills to do that, you're going to get crushed under the weight of it and you're not going to have a good time. And that's what we're here to help you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. John Simon, $5 super chat says, this is why one of my past girls that will get married in a month tell me she still likes me and sends me nudes on Snapchat because she still misses me. Proud graduate of the Masculine Empowerment Network, might I add you. Paul, this has been a great episode. And guys, Paul will be speaking at the Masculine Empowerment Network. So listen, if you like this, you're going to get so much more, but you will not get it if you do not go right now to masculineempowermentnetwork.com. Go there, get on the waiting list. We have 60 people locked and loaded. It's only been 1 week of promotion now. We're here on a Tuesday night. We launched last Tuesday, 60 people in 1 week. Really good. May 8th is when we're going live. You do not want to miss out on that. And I got the new updated schedule right now. Take a quick look here. We added some new people, and this is really coming out to be something really special. We have another combat vet, actually, and he's brought on board, and his name is Colin. And so this is what I have here. So Credit with Colin is the newest guy. He's going to talk about how to leverage your credit to build wealth. And he's also going to talk about repairing your credit and credit cards. This guy is a genius. He's been helping me get my credit scores back up because I nuked everything when I came to Japan, and now I'm rebuilding my credit. I became a multi-million-dollar earner with bad credit. I mean, come on. If I could do that, this guy can help you if you have good credit, or he can just help you with credit in general. And then Elevate Cyber, he's going to be on the show later this next week. He's going to be talking about breaking into cybersecurity from complete beginners, how to get a job. He's educating people in 1 year to get out there, have an economically sound, recession-proof job as a pen tester, starting anywhere between $70,000 to $80,000 a year. From there, the roof in the cybersecurity industry goes all the way up to $300,000 a year. You can work remote. One of my clients in the High Income Alpha VIP program, he's in his mid-30s. He works 6 hours a week, and he does over $200,000 a year. Not bad living at all. They are extremely understaffed in the cybersecurity industry. Okay, so if you're just broke and you're out there trying to figure this thing out, we're going to get you money, muscles, game, and frame in the Masculine Empowerment Network. And this is a year-long membership. This is not just a one-off. So if you loved inner game healing, you are absolutely going to be enamored with the Masculine Empowerment Network. We're going to get Paul on the schedule here soon. Myself, I'm reaching out to other big content creators, and we're just going to deliver hardcore value for the entire year to really help you get unstuck, get to where you want to be, and level the fuck up. Go and subscribe to Paul, Apex Mindset. He is tagged in this description title here. And Paul, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it, man.
Always a pleasure, bro. Always. What a good conversation.
All right. And we'll see you guys next time. We'll see you tomorrow here at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll have another guest. Until then, peace out.